Have you ever wanted to do something so special for someone you love that you couldn't wait for the perfect moment? You just knew it had to be done, no matter the obstacles. Well, that's exactly how I felt when my wife, my amazing supportive wife, went on a business trip. It was supposed to be a few days of just me and the kids, but I decided that was the perfect opportunity to pull off the biggest surprise of our lives. But this wasn't just any surprise. This was going to be something that would leave her speechless, something that would show her how much we truly love her. I've noticed only 98% of you who watch haven't subscribed. Come on, guys, show some love and support. Thanks a bunch to those who have already subscribed. Imagine this, my wife all the way across the country, and here we are, the kids and I planning the unthinkable. We're not just planning a simple surprise. No, this was going to be something monumental, something that would bring us closer as a family and remind her of why she's the heart of our world. You see, it all started with one thought. What if we could show her that we miss her? And more importantly, that we would do anything to see her smile. So here's what happened. It all started innocently enough, with the kids and I sitting around the kitchen table, sipping on hot cocoa and chatting about their day. We were trying to get through a couple of days without Mom around. But to be honest, we were missing her more than we cared to admit. My wife is the rock of our family, the one who holds everything together. Her absence felt so much bigger than I had imagined. And then one of the kids, my youngest, Sam, looked up at me with those big, hopeful eyes and said, "Dad, why don't we surprise Mom? She'd love that." It was as if a light bulb went off. I looked at Sam, and I could see the excitement in his eyes, a twinkle that reflected the idea growing in my mind. I couldn't help but smile. "Yeah, how about we show her how much we love her?" I said, trying to mask my own excitement. But the idea didn't just stop there. It wasn't just going to be a simple surprise at home. No, this needed to be big, something she'd remember forever. The kids and I started to brainstorm, and with every idea that popped up, my heart raced. There was one thing that kept coming to mind. What if we flew to see her? Now, this wasn't just a weekend getaway. This was a trip across the country. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but the more I thought about it, the more I knew it was the right thing to do. The kids were excited, but there was one huge challenge. How were we going to pull this off without her finding out? We had to move fast. My wife would be gone for 3 days on her business trip, and we had a short window to get everything in place. First, I had to make sure her return flight was scheduled at the right time, and then I needed to figure out how to get us all on a plane without her suspecting anything. I quickly arranged for a close friend to help, someone who could cover for me and make sure my wife wouldn't have any reason to question why I wasn't answering my phone or why I was acting a little differently than usual. It was tricky, but with some clever planning, we managed to keep it under wraps. The kids were buzzing with excitement, whispering their ideas about how we would surprise Mom. It felt like we were all in on something huge, and I couldn't help but laugh at their enthusiasm. We packed our bags in secret, and I made sure to keep everything organized. I couldn't afford to mess this up. I wanted this to be perfect. My wife deserved it. The big day finally arrived. The kids were practically bouncing off the walls, and I was feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. I knew this would be a moment neither of us would ever forget. As we made our way to the airport, I could feel the tension rising. I kept checking my phone to make sure everything was still on track, but I had this overwhelming sense of anticipation. The thought of seeing my wife's face when she realized what we had done, it was almost too much to imagine. When we finally boarded the plane, the excitement reached new heights. The kids were full of questions, talking about how we would surprise her. I told them to be patient. Everything would unfold when the time was right. And then, as the plane took off, I realized something. This wasn't just a surprise for her, it was for us too. It was a chance to do something as a family, to show each other how much we truly cared, and to make a memory that would last a lifetime. As we landed in her city, my heart raced. We were so close. It felt like we were carrying this huge secret, one that would completely change her day, and maybe even her entire week. I could barely contain my excitement. We rented a car and drove to the hotel where she was staying. The whole time the kids were whispering about how they couldn't wait to see her face. They were so excited, and I was right there with them, feeling like a kid again. When we arrived at the hotel, I took a deep breath. It was time. I knew we had to be quiet to make sure the surprise was perfect. The kids tiptoed behind me as we made our way to her room. I stood outside her door, my heart in my throat. This was it, the moment we had all been waiting for. I knocked on the door softly, my heart pounding. I could hear my wife's voice from inside, and my excitement grew. "Who's there?" she asked, sounding a little confused. "It's me," I said, keeping my voice steady. And then the door swung open. Her eyes widened in disbelief when she saw the kids and me standing there, all of us grinning from ear to ear. For a moment, she didn't say anything. She just stood there staring at us, her hands covering her mouth. And then, without warning, she broke into tears. "You guys, what are you doing here?" she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. I walked up to her and gave her a big hug. "We missed you," I said. "We thought you deserved a surprise." She hugged us all tightly and the kids were beaming with joy. It felt like the entire world had stopped for a moment. In that instant, it didn't matter what challenges lay ahead. What mattered was that we had made her feel loved, appreciated, and cherished. That's all that mattered. As we sat together in her hotel room, reminiscing about the old days and talking about how far we've come, I couldn't help but reflect on what we had just done. It wasn't just about the surprise, it was about the love we shared as a family. It was about making memories that would stay with us forever, and reminding each other that no matter what, we would always have each other. In that moment, I realized something profound. Sometimes it's not about grand gestures or fancy gifts. It's about showing the people you love that you care, even in the simplest ways. It's about making the effort to remind them of how much they mean to you, no matter how busy life gets. If you've enjoyed hearing our story, if it's touched your heart the way it has mine, I'd love for you to show your support. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below letting me know how you show your loved ones you care. I'd love to hear your stories, your surprises, and your moments of love. Remember, sometimes the best surprises are the simplest ones, those moments that make all the difference. Thank you for being part of our journey, and until next time, keep spreading love, joy, and positivity.